Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Avoiding Relegation podcast, episode 5. It's insane that we're already on episode 5. And I am joined today by, for the first time ever, not wearing a kit, it seems like, my good friend Christian. Christian, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I thought you were going to say you were joined by me for the first time ever. I was going to say, did you hit yourself on the noggin?
Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. We are not joined by Bailey today, but it was fun to have him on last week's episode. And if you missed out on last week's episode, go check it out. It's a good one. It's fun to have him on the show. But you're going to have to go check it out on YouTube because this guy just forgot to put it on Anchor and get it on Spotify and everything. So go watch that on our YouTube page. Which if you're already there, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button as well. Really helps us out and supports us.
I think you even tweeted to check out the video on Spotify, so everyone's probably very confused.
Yeah, I still could have sworn I put it there. Maybe it's like there, but not on Anchor. I don't know. It doesn't even sound possible. So today we've got a great show for you guys because the Premier League starts in literally 3 days, not even 3 days. It's less than 3 days now with the Premier League opener, Arsenal hosting Crystal Palace. I believe Arsenal is the home team in that match.
That is a good question. I do not remember. It looks like Crystal Palace might be hosting Arsenal.
Oh, so Crystal Palace hosting Arsenal, first game of the year. So we are here to give you our final set in stone Premier League predictions. Now, we didn't do it. Christian might have done it, but I didn't. We didn't do like awards or anything. We'll tweet those out later. But these are our table predictions. Who's going down? Who's making your European football? Well, I guess it's all European football. European, you get what I'm saying. Who's making Champions League, Europa League, and then who is winning the league. So we're going to make all those predictions for you guys. And then at the very end, we're going to give you four must-have players at each position, or maybe it's 2 or 3 based off if we choose the exact same people. So let's get right into this. No wasting time. Christian, start us off with your 20th place team, who is going right back down to the championship.
So at 20th, I have absolutely no change in this from my prior predictions. I have Bournemouth staying in 20th.
I also have Bournemouth. You look at the teams around them, who has signed what. I'm sorry, Dominic Solanke's going to get you some goals, but they're going right back down. Yeah, I think we agree on Bournemouth. You have anything to add, man?
No, I mean, the Cherries, they didn't really bring in enough, I think, to stay alive. I think they're just going to maybe become the next, why can't I think of the word?
Yo-yo team.
Yo-yo, yes, yo-yo, the next yo-yo team.
And in 19th, I have this is a change, dropping down 2 spots. I had them surviving in 17th. I have Fulham going down. Another team that I think is going to continue to be a yo-yo team. They just haven't done enough to really show me that they're going to be in the Prem next year. Losing Fabio Carvajal, I think it really hurts them. And now you're looking at an injury for Wilson. Who knows how many games he's going to miss to start the season. This is a team I think is going right back down.
I think these next 4 positions are all going to be super close, just like it always is. Comes down to the last day. At 19th, I have a team that I did originally have going down, but falling 1 spot. I also have Fulham. I do think Andres Pereira is going to fit into that Carvajal role, and I think that Kevin Mbabu is going to be a big signing for them on the right wing back. I just don't think it's enough compared to the other teams around them.
So we agree so far. Bournemouth, Fulham, and just to remind you guys, we have not looked at these lists. We have not shared our lists. So let's see if we can make it 3 for 3. It's going to be hard to, because like Christian said, all these teams kind of flow together at the end. It's going to be a tight race for relegation. Christian, who do you have in 18th?
At 18th, I have a team that I have talked about that I think is going down before. I did not have them going down in the last prediction just because there's another team that I thought had made the moves yet. But I have Southampton in 18th being the 3rd team going down. Again, I didn't see a lot of movement in the window, and they're just that third team. I don't see all three of the newly promoted teams going back down.
My 18th place team going down. They dropped one position, so I had them surviving. And they went up one position. My bad. I need to read my own work here. They went up one position, but still not enough to get into the Prem and stay there. That's Southampton. So we agree on the first three. Look, this is a Southampton team that for years now, we've slowly seen the decline of the team. I feel like over time, when we started watching the Prem, they were a team about mid-table, and they've slowly just inched their way lower and lower. And last season can't remember exactly where they finished, but it was not looking too hot for Southampton.
I'm pretty sure they were like 16th. Let's see here. I know I had it somewhere. They were 15th last year.
15th. So
last season
kind of have more of a drop off here. We have them falling 3 positions, but we agree, Christian, 3 teams going down: Bournemouth, Fulham, and Southampton. The team that I have in 17. Go ahead.
Real quick. I just wanted to say, I think keeping James Ward-Prowse was important for them.
Yeah.
And that could be something that keeps them up. Like I said, these 19 to 16 range are all going to be super close. So.
And in 17th, the team that I barely have surviving, they dropped 2 positions for me. And that's Leeds United. I hate to say it because it's the American team. You know, they got Tyler Adams, they've got Brendan Aronson. These are guys, Christian, where as American soccer fans, we want to see these guys succeed, especially coming up on the World Cup. But losing Rafinha hurts. Losing Calvin Phillips hurt. I'm not a fan of Jesse Marsch. Personally, I watched him at Leipzig, and I don't think he's that great of a manager. They barely survived last year. And I actually think there's a possibility Leeds United could go down and Southampton could finish above them. I think that's a real possibility. But I am very nervous for Leeds United this year.
Did you see the pass that was pretty much trending on Twitter from Aronson? I think I sent it in our group chat.
I haven't. I must have missed it. I heard about it.
Beautiful pass.
I heard about it.
Beautiful
just haven't seen it.
I think that he could be a baller this year, which could be good for them. At 17th, I have a team that is dropping 4 spots from my original predictions. A team that has ended the year terribly last year. A team that has had an awful preseason. I have Everton barely surviving.
Wow, 17th. It's crazy. Like if you told me last year that Everton, you know, my team's biggest rival, the Merseyside rivals, if you told me that they were going to be fighting to stay in the league, I would have said you were crazy.
I think down 1 spot from last season, they finished 16th. Losing a player like Richarlison, I don't think it's out of the realm for them to even go down this year. I think that 17th is a fair spot, and they could even go down. Like I said, Southampton, with keeping James Ward-Prowse, could bolster them above them. I just see Everton barely surviving. At 16th, I have a team coming up 3 spots from my original predictions. It was a team I originally had going down. They've had a busy window. It's going to take some time to implement all these new names. I have Nottingham Forest coming in at 16th.
Ooh, Nottingham Forest. Okay, I see. I'm with you on it. Could take some time, but I've got them a little bit higher. In 16th, I have dropping 4 positions as well. Everton. I agree with everything you said about them losing Richarlison, their best player, and having a terrible preseason thus far. They have a local fan. I mean, a wonderful story, but they have a local fan taking a PK in a friendly game.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's how low Everton. I like I said, beautiful moment. Cool from the club to do that, but they just don't even care at this point. So in 15,
I mean, when you lose 4-0 to an MLS side, then you got some issues.
Hey, MLS is on the rise.
It is on the rise, but 4-0 to any team, even a team that's on the rise, is it's rough looks.
In 15th place, going up just 1 position, so almost staying put, I have Brentford. I'm very excited to see what Brentford brings this season. I think they could be fighting for relegation. I might be a little overhyping them, but I still think they have enough talent. I want Ivan Toney to do just a tad more. He had a good season last year, but I want him just to do a little bit more. I'm interested to see what Brentford has for the Prem this year. So I have them in 15th.
In 15th, I have a team staying pat where I originally had them projected to go in our earlier rankings, and that is Leeds United. I think this is a good spot for them. I completely agree with everything you said earlier. It could be a scary season, but it also could be a finish 15th with a nice, safe final week. It could go either way. I think this is just a safe spot for them.
All right. Who do you have in 14th?
In 14th, I have a team jumping up 2 spots from our original projections, and that's Brentford. Here's the thing. I don't know. This is a team that could be in for the second year fall. They could also stay right about where they were. I can't remember where they finished last season. It was 13th. So this is a 1-spot drop for them. I think that's pretty fair.
So far, we're pretty much agreeing on all the teams. It's just about like the mixture of where they finish and everything. But for the most part, we've mentioned the same teams. In 14th, I have dropping down 1 place, Crystal Palace. I think Patrick Vieira had a nice run to finish the season last year. I'm excited what he can do this year. Brought in a couple signings. I like how the team's looking. They've got some sick kits this year. I'm saying, I know that's not going to help them on the field at all, but they do have some sick kits. I'm saying Crystal Palace in 14th. And in 13th, I have rising up 6 positions out of the relegation zone. You know who it is, Christian. Nottingham Forest. I love the signings that they've made.
I love
that
13th.
13th, yes. Little high.
You them very, very comfortable.
Very comfortable. I think they're going to come in like Sheffield did a few years back and be, I mean, not that great, but very comfortable. I love the signings. It is going to take them some time to get used to playing together. But I just think this is a team. It's going to be one of those promotion sides that come in and they stay up for at least a few seasons. I'm excited to watch Nottingham Forest. And now I have Sunday off. I need to see what teams play on Sunday because now I have Sunday off and I think I might just leave it off.
This is my team. So I'm hoping that you are right and I am wrong on this. I just think implementing so many names, not even just into the lineup, but into the starting lineup. They've had a relatively solid preseason. I just think it's going to take a little bit of time to get it going. And that's why I had them a little lower. But I would love 13th. And 13th, I have a team going up 1 spot from my projections, dropping 3 from last season, and that's Wolverhampton. I think Wolverhampton had a really bad end to last season. Not the saying that's going to carry over. I think that we're going to be a little bit better towards the end this year. I just think 13th is a good spot for them.
And who do you have in 12th?
Oh, I forgot you already said your 13th.
Yeah.
In 12th, I have a team. This is where a lot of my projections start staying very similar to our original projections because I just couldn't move anyone. At 12th, I have Crystal Palace, which is exactly where I had them. I think that this is just a very safe play on my part because this is about where they finish every season. I do think that, if anything, they're higher than this. I don't think they're any lower. I think Crystal Palace is in for a solid season.
It's funny you say that this is where teams start staying put because I'm looking at like my top 8 and I see 3 spots down, 2 spots up, 2 spots. So I think you're in for some surprises when we get to that point. I think you'll be shocked at some of the stuff. I mean, you've known me since 4th grade, so there's not much that shocks you anymore. You'll just be like, oh, that's a Randy take.
I mean, I have a couple like that flip-flopped, but nothing bigger than a 1 spot up or down in the next 12 spots.
Wow, yeah, we are completely different. I have teams moving all over the board. In 12th place, I have a team just moving down 1 spot, and that's Brighton and Hove Albion. This is a team always finishes mid-table. I think the loss of I'm going to say his name wrong, Cucurella, is going to hurt them. They also lost Basuma to Tottenham, Cucurella, or however you say his name. Looks like it, for the longest time, it was City. Now it looks like he could be heading to Chelsea. So they're losing a couple players here and there. I'm not familiar with who they brought in, but it's still Brighton and Hove Albion. I think they're the new team. I would say the new Crystal Palace that just always finishes 10th to 12th, like always, every year, and when they shouldn't. But I have Brighton and Hove Albion in 12th. In 11th, that is where I have dropping 3 positions. That's where I have Wolverhampton Wanderers. The Wolves, while I don't think they're as scary as they used to be when we were talking, are they the new top 6 team replacing Everton and stuff? I think injuries really plagued them last year. They really didn't lose anyone. So Jimenez is back. Neto's back. I think now that everyone's healthy, they're going to be a little bit better than how they ended the season last year. I still don't like that they fired whatever his name was, Nuno, I still liked him as their manager. But I think this is a Wolves team that's going to stay about middle of the pack.
In 11th, I have another team staying with my prior projections. That's Brighton Hove Albion. Kind of what you said, losing Basuma is gonna suck for them. They still have some young pieces though, like Tariq Lamptey, big fan, and I think that they like we said, 10 to 12 is right where they belong. So,
all right, so we are now on to the top 10.
Top 10.
10 teams who barely misses out on European football and who makes it into Europa League and Championship, or the Champions League.
In
Not the
10th, I see a team kind of falling out of their reign of being considered amongst the elite. They're getting a little older. They're starting to lose some interest in players, and that's Leicester City. I think they held on to Tielemans, but I don't see him staying maybe past January, especially with a mid-table running. Vardy's getting up there in age. They haven't done much to replace him outside of Nacho. I know they got like Harvey Barnes, James Madison. When I look at the other top 10 teams, I just don't see them competing with them.
I agree with you, everything you just said, but not yet. In 10th, I have a team staying put, and that is the wealthiest team in the world, Newcastle United. I stand by it's going to take a year or so before this team really takes over. And I think 10th is a solid spot for them because I still do believe that the teams that I have above them are better at this very moment than Newcastle. January window could come around and I could be, foot in my mouth and shutting up and everything. But for now, I have them staying exactly where I had them in 10th. And in 9th is where I had Leicester City. I mean, I can't even add anything. I agree with everything you just said.
I remember in the early predictions when I had Leicester in 10th, and you were so surprised. And now here we are in the final predictions, and you're kind of right there where I was earlier.
I had them in 6th, so I have them dropping 3 positions. And yeah, they're getting older. They really haven't made any signings that have impressed me. And yeah, I do agree with you now that I think their time as a top team could be coming to an end.
Implement a little clip from our prior video when you gave me the exasperated wow when I put Leicester in 10th.
It's gonna be too much work. Maybe I don't know. All right, it's up to you.
I was honestly kidding. And
no,
Donnie,
no.
I have who you were just talking about, the richest club in the world. I have Newcastle in 9th.
Oh, so we just
flopped them.
Yeah, flip-flopped.
Yes. I think Newcastle is going to be slightly better than Leicester. Like you said, the January window they could spend. I like Trippier as a wing back. I think he was very good for them the second half of the season, and I expect that to roll over into this season. I think they have St. Maximin's going to be better this year. They have pieces just got to put it together.
Love watching them play. Maybe it's just the name. I don't just love watching St. Maximin play.
In 8th is where I have placed Aston Villa.
Ooh, real quick before you go on, I also have them in 8th, so we can just kind of talk about them together.
I think this is a good spot for them. I expect where'd they finish last season? I think this is an uptick. Yes, they finished 14th last season. I think that they were in a very similar spot to a lot of other teams where they implemented a lot of new names and just couldn't get them to mesh well together. And I think this year it does.
I think Steven Gerrard is going to take this team to a whole new level. And I love that they have Coutinho for a full season now. I think people like Buendia, people like Leon Bailey, who struggled a little bit more. Leon Bailey, although he had a shot the other day, it went in, he scored, but I was like, that's it. Like, it was not that great of a shot. I think they can expect a little bit more from them this season. And like I said, having Coutinho for a full season is going to do wonders for them. I'm very excited to see what he can do. In 7th place. All right. You ready to be shocked? Are you guys ready to yell at me in the comment sections?
This is going to be shocking.
I have them dropping 3 positions. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, the Conference League.
Yes.
I have Chelsea.
I think that's too far of a drop.
I just, the 6 teams that I have above them, I think are better, frankly, and they need to do something in the January window to prove to me that they're still going to contend for top 4, because as of now, even if I have them too low, which I probably do, I always put like a top 6 team down in like 7th, because I want them to finish down there and just have to be in Conference League. I think it's hilarious. But they've got to do something. I wasn't as impressed with their lineup last season as everyone else was. People were like, including you, Christian, I think at one point they could compete for the title and everything. And I just thought they were way over.
Early in the year, I'm pretty sure at some point last year they were in first place.
They were,
like
but
3 or 4 weeks straight.
I just am not as impressed with their lineup as everyone else is. Now, Cucurella would be a great grab for them. They have brought in Koulibaly, but how is he going to do in the Prem? They still have a solid squad.
I don't understand how you not being impressed reflects them finishing all the way down in 7th, considering they still finished 3rd last season, whether you were impressed or not.
The 6 teams in front of them are better than them now. I think the 6
I
teams
disagree. In 7th place, I have West Ham. I think that is a team that is not better than Chelsea. This is a team that's finished in 7th last season, will finish in 7th this year. They're almost there, but they're still not drawing the names.
I have West Ham in 6th. I have them moving up 3 positions from 9th to 6th. I think
I don't see them making any jump this year, and I certainly don't see them jumping Chelsea. For 6 for me is where I have placed Manchester United. I think this is a good spot for United.
Okay.
They added Christian Eriksen, and they might get Ronaldo back. This is what it's looking like.
He left at halftime of a preseason game. They subbed him off, and he left at halftime.
That is just a saga they're gonna have to deal with all season long if they don't get him off the books. I don't see it quite coming together this year. We're gonna see flashes of Sancho and Rashford
beat a top 6 team here and there. A couple top 6 teams will lose to them,
which is what makes them 6th. They're not the best out of the 6 teams, and I would put them the worst out of the top 6.
All right, we are now down to the 5th position, so just missing out. So I have West Ham making Europa League. You have Manchester United. This is the other Europa League team, and I have Tottenham dropping 2 positions. I like Tottenham's squad. I do. And I'm going to get a lot of hate for another London team I have above Tottenham that people are thinking they're just too young to leap Chelsea and Tottenham, especially in my rankings. But I think this is a good spot for Tottenham. I think they're just going to miss out on that Champions League football personally. Christian, I saw your face. I can't wait to hear what you think.
In 5th place, I have Chelsea. I think that I agree with a lot of what you're saying. They lost out on Kunda. That's a massive loss. I think they needed him. Their defense is a question mark. They've looked questioning sometimes in the preseason, but they really haven't played an A squad in the preseason. It's been a lot of the B and C squad. I don't even Tuchel has come out to say that he doesn't think they're regular season form.
They're losing Timo Werner to maybe Leipzig. Woo
I
woo,
don't think that's going to
reunion.
be a huge deal. I think Kai Havertz is the 9. I think that Chelsea's going to have a lot to deal with early in the season. It's going to be more of a mid to late season comeback for them. I could see them being in the 7-8 range for the first part of the season, and then making that jump and being one of those last day. Okay, Chelsea's got to win. This team's got to lose to get in the top 4, and it just puts them in 5th. Europa League for Chelsea.
All right, let's talk about these big 4 Champions League squads. Christian, go ahead.
In 4th, I have a team that has impressed the hell out of me in preseason, and that's Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus with 7 goals, a hat trick in the final. They won a trophy in Orlando. Everything's looking to come together. They brought in some key pieces to help out on defense and especially the attack, as I circled in Jesus. I think Saka makes a jump forward this year. I think this is a top 4 finish for Arsenal.
In 4th, going up 3 positions, I have Manchester United. Love what Ten Hag is doing with Man U. They need to rid themselves of the Ronaldo saga. I said last year when they brought Ronaldo in, they shouldn't have even made that move. But I like the moves. I said this, I had that giant Man United rant. And ever since then, I've been saying I really like the moves they're making. And I am starting to be a huge fan of Ten Hag. His confidence, how he went in and said, okay, this is how we're going to run shit and you're going to do it. Excuse me. I had to say that's kind of the emotion he has around preseason is you better show up and do your job. So I think Man United does squeeze past Tottenham and Chelsea, gets into the top 4, back into Champions League football. And 3rd, I have the team that you just spoke about. I am big on Arsenal. I have them moving up 2 positions into the Champions League. A lot of people are saying they're still too young. It's going to take time for them to work together. I don't think so. I was wrong about Jesus. I said, look, Jesus to me was never the world-class striker at City. I thought he was a little overrated.
I've always been a big Jesus guy.
I thought he was a little overrated at City, but he is, oh my gosh, he is looking like he's going for Golden Boot this year. It's going to be interesting to see if he keeps it up in like Premier League play. But I mean, Arsenal doesn't have Champions League to distract them. We've seen that in the past. Teams focus on Champions League. They fall a little bit behind in the league.
They do have Europa League, I believe.
Well, yes, they do have Europa League. So they do have that going for them. But I still think Arsenal is going back to Champions League. Like, I feel confident about that. I mean, do I have Chelsea way too low? Probably. Is West Ham going to be better than Chelsea? Probably not. Is Man United going to be better than Tottenham? Probably not. So, like, I mean, I took a wild guess on a lot of these, but I am fairly confident Arsenal will be in the top 4, and I'm thinking about putting money on it. Like, I think
Arsenal is in a similar spot Chelsea was in a few years ago under Frank Lampard. Only Chelsea faced a bigger challenge in a second-year manager and with an embargo in the transfer. So Arsenal has an established manager who's shown that he can perform amongst the elite and a transfer window. So 3rd is not out of the realm, but I think that this team I have in 3rd and Tottenham is a better team. I think that, as I've said to you, I think Son is going to be in for one insane year. I think he finishes above Salah in FPL this year, and I think he's going to bring him into the 3rd position on top of everything else they've made around him, and Perisic, a full year of hopefully Harry Kane being at premium like he was towards the end of last season. I think Spurs are 3rd.
So in second place.
Wait, I'm second, right? I say second?
You can go second first.
Okay. This is gonna shock you. In second, I have Man City. I think I think that we watched the FA Cup or the what was that cup that we watched the
It
other
was
day?
the support.
The Shield.
She is not supporter shield. That's MLS.
Either
Community
way,
shield, something like that. Yeah.
either way, watch that game. I think Liverpool looked head over heels above City in that game. Obviously, it's virtually a preseason game, but I think that they're close enough that that can relay my decision.
I have City in second. I am staying put with where I had Liverpool winning the league and City in second. It is hard to win the Premier League back to back. I think City has other ideas of what they want this year, even though Guardiola keeps saying, no, I prefer to win the Prem. No, I think Man City has their eyes glued on Champions League. I think that's what they want. They want to win the Champions League this year. Obviously, they want to win everything, but we saw this with Liverpool when they focused on the Champions League, lagged behind in the league. And I'm not saying that City wasn't the better team, and I'm not saying that City's not the better team now. I've watched people talk about these two teams, and they think Liverpool is getting old in the midfield. Henderson's old, Milner's still there, Thiago is injury prone. They got some young kids, but they're not, Premier League ready to be starting every game. So a lot of people are concerned about the midfield. I'm not. I think Jurgen Klopp's going to come for the Prem this year. I think that's going to be Liverpool's ambitions. City's going to have Champions League ambitions. So I think the clubs fall off in the league that they're not focusing as much on. So Christian,
it's gonna be a close finish either way.
Talk about Liverpool winning the Prem. Why do you think they're going to do it?
I also have Liverpool winning. Like I said, I think that they're very close. No matter what, the end of the season, it's going to come down to the last 2 games or so. And like I said, in that game we watched the other day, I just felt Liverpool looked to be the better side right now. And I think a lot of times it comes down to who has the more hot start. I think because if you have a hot start, you can usually carry it into the middle and late months into the year. And I think City did not look as hot as Liverpool to start the year.
It's too early to say, but I've been saying, yes, there's bias behind it, but I've been saying that Nunez will be better than Erling Haaland, and everyone's way overhyping Haaland. Haaland, I think, has 1 goal in preseason. 1. Less games, yes. I think he's only played 3 games or something preseason wise. He's got
I'm pretty sure he only played
2 games or whatever. He's got 1 goal. And that happened at Lambeau Field here in the States.
He easily could have had 2 goals in the game against Liverpool. And yes, he did bottle it, but again, he's in preseason form in his 2nd game.
And in 5 games,
it's way too early, huh?
In 5 games, Darwin Nunez has scored 5 goals in 5 games, including
and you got to think. And I'm pretty sure in that game that Haaland scored, he didn't start. He came off the bench.
He did, yeah.
So he's got a game and a half under his belt, and I don't know. I just don't think that you can say that this early.
I think agree. You can't say it.
Haaland played in a more proven environment, playing in multiple Champions Leagues. I think that he's the more polished player, but we'll see.
All right, so that is our official Premier League predictions, and we'll come back at the end of the season and see how good we did, how close we were to getting them right. So let's move on to FPL. By the way, join our official Avoiding Relegation League. The link is in the description. Join and compete alongside Christian and I. I know you're in a million other leagues, so go ahead and just make it 1,000,001 and join our Avoiding Relegation League.
Get Bailey to get in there.
Yeah, Bailey's still not in there yet. So yeah, come and join us and compete for fun. See if you guys can beat us. But we're gonna give you 2 players from each position. One of them that is a must-have, and another one that's kind of a sleeper that you might not be looking at, but you could fit in there, save some money. Christian, go ahead and start us at the.
What I went for is one guy who's kind of pretty heavily owned, and then one guy who's kind of less popular. Also, knowing who you would say, obviously we didn't share a list. I try to stick away from what you would say.
I'm saying the basics, yeah.
So yeah, I know you're gonna go with the basics, so I kind of try to go with the secondary option, or maybe even not the secondary option. At goalkeeper, so you want me to say both goalkeepers?
Yes.
So my number one must-have option on the more popular side is where I have Edouard Mendy, and then on the less popular side, which is actually my goalkeeper for match week 1, is Meslier from Leeds United.
You want to go into any more details about them?
I prefer the less owned goalkeeper here because if you're going with the higher owned keepers, you're going to be spending more money on your starter, meaning your backup's not going to be the greatest option. I prefer the 2 4.5 formations so that I can have two keepers that no matter what, I have someone I'd like to play versus starting an Edouard Mendy versus a Tottenham or someone that's probably going to get a goal on him. So I like the Meslier option just because I think a lot of the people who have won Premier Leagues in the past are choosing this man. So I think some people are backing him for a reason.
So I put my two goalkeepers down, and they're both kind of sleepers. They're both 12%, excuse me, 12% and 13% owned. So the 12% owned one, the one that I'm starting, is Ramsdale from Arsenal. He's been my goalkeeper from the beginning. And I think Arsenal has a very friendly schedule to start off, and they've been killing it. So I expect a pretty big season from Ramsdale. I'm also going for cheaper keepers because I don't think it's a position that's really going to make or break your team, honestly. And that's just personally my opinion. And then the one that I think more people should be paying attention to is actually the 13% one. So he's owned a little bit more than Ramsdale, and that's Sanchez from Brighton. He's always been in my lineup. I think he's a fairly reliable goalkeeper. Brighton has been a team that at times can get those 0-0 draws, can get that 1-0 win. That's kind of been their strength over the years. I don't know how their defense is going to be this year, but I just know that he's always been a kind of reliable goalkeeper in that position. So I have him when Ramsdale is playing like a City or a Liverpool.
I like Sanchez. I feel that he was a very popular option last year, and he will. What percent? Did you say he was only 12%?
13% owned.
I think that's because a lot of people are going for the premium keepers and then putting a 4 mil keeper on their bench.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Sanchez is a great backup, and even in some cases, if you're going the 2 4.5s, a starter.
Yeah. No, I will definitely start him at times and feel fine starting him at times.
Yeah,
So
because I definitely am not going to say, do I feel 100% comfortable in Meslier starting every game? No. I think he's a young keeper, and he's shown flashes where he gives up 5 goals. But he's going to have that year. He's got high potential. He's going to have that year where he just balls. So I'm hoping this is it.
I'll go ahead and go first at defense, and that's your main one. I went boring here. He's probably my favorite player in the Premier League, and that's Trent Alexander-Arnold. Get him in your team. This isn't even like, this is non-negotiable. Like, you are going to lose big time if TAA is not in your team.
I don't know how he's not the highest owned player.
He is, let me check. So he's the highest owned defender at 57%. Only 57% of people have him. He scored 208 points last year. By far led defense. I believe it was a pretty good amount. And he's not even like 13 mil or something like that. He's 7.5 mil. He's affordable. He's the best defender. If I haven't said it enough, go get him in your lineup. If you don't have him in your lineup, welcome to FPL. Learn how to play. Next up, the more kind of cheaper option, 4.5 mil. I'm kind of shocked he's only 4.5. He's not going to get a ton of clean sheets, but he is a guy who can go forward and give you more of an attacking prowess, and that is Tyron Mings. I've always been a fan of Tyron Mings. He scored 118 points last year. And like I said, he's going to get you assists. He's going to get you a goal from time to time. Yes, he might not be as great in the clean sheet department, but I like him as a cheaper option to save you money to put more into your midfield or the forward positions.
So for my defense, I knew you were going to say Trent Alexander-Arnold, so I'm going to go for the other boring option. I have João Cancelo. I think that both of those guys are two guys you definitely want in your defense no matter what. They're kind of very similar players. They're going to be wing backs on two of the top defenses in the Prem. They're going to get clean sheets. They're going to get attacking uh, bonus points.
And just to interrupt you, I made a mistake. He scored 201 points last year. TAA was at 208, so it was not by far.
Yeah,
It's close.
so you get them both in there. I mean, that's already assuming they do the very same as last year, 409 points in your team. That's a big chunk of your points. Then I also have as my kind of sleeper option. I believe he's a little higher owned at 13%. I have Alexander Zinchenko at Arsenal. Very, very good, easy start to the season for them. Very good matchups. I shouldn't say easy. I think there'll be clean sheets in there, much like you went with Ramsdale. But I also expect Zinchenko to be pushing forward, possibly getting some attacking benefits, assists, maybe a couple of goals here and there. At 5 mil, I think that's a steal.
When Christian and I are ready to, when we have our team, it might be an hour before the game starts on Friday. We will post our final rosters to you guys just for you to see on our Twitter. So go check out our Twitter page at reality_football. And that's football with a U for American fans. Christian, go ahead with the midfield. This is the range, on your pitch that could really make or break your FPL season, in my opinion. Your midfield, who you get in there.
See, I'm someone who likes to spread his money out through the different positions. I think this year I've spent a lot of money in the midfield, which gets me a little weary, but I don't think I can go wrong with my two premiums in the midfield. The one I've gone for that I think is an absolute must-have, not being basic, is Heung-min Son. I think I touched on this earlier. I think he is going to finish the year as the top FPL player, and he's a mil cheaper than Salah. He finished just 7 points 7 points under last season. I think this is the year that he passes Salah. For my less owned player, he's coming in at 5.7%. That's I think 3% jump in the last week. That's Jesse Lingard. I think Jesse Lingard, I was reading the other day in his short run with West Ham, he was the third highest scoring player points per game in the midfield, behind only who? Salah and Son. I think it was 6.4 points per game in the games he played. I think that is an absolute steal at 6 mil if that's what he's performing like.
You know that Mo Salah already has a goal and an assist, like in the last preseason game, like just the last. Doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. And while I love Son and I wish I could get him into my lineup, I'm going with the boring option here. And that's why he picked Son too. Not saying he wouldn't have picked Son anyways, but he knows who I'm going for as a Liverpool fan. Mo Salah scored 265 points last year.
I've gone for Son and Salah in my lineup. I use my two premiums on both of them, and I don't see how I can go wrong there. I know, I said, I was a little weary about spending all that money in the midfield, but there's no reason to change them out.
Point blank, you have to have, if you're new to playing FPL, you have to have one of these three in your midfield: Salah, Son, or Fernandez. One of those three
I would throw Kevin De Bruyne over Fernandez this season.
What did Kevin De Bruyne score last year? Do you know?
I believe it was 199.
199. I thought the other three got in 200. So you're saying
here's the thing with De Bruyne. He does have a lot of injury issues, so he misses quite a few games.
Okay,
so that's what brings him down. So you think if he's fully healthy, that's a 230 probably kind of guy.
But I'm going Mo Salah. That's the boring option. He is owned by 59%. That number actually shocked me that it's only 59%. He's no longer the most owned guy in FPL. We might get to him. If not, one of us will mention him here in a second. My cheaper option, I'm going to turn on the fly here. I was going to talk about Coutinho. He's 18% owned, but That is kind of, a lot of people are owning him. So I'm going to talk about his partner here, Emiliano Buendia, a guy who scored 107 fantasy points last year. Pretty decent number. He had a rough season compared to what people thought they were going to get from him. He is 6 mil and 0.6% owned. Buendia is 0.6%. Yeah, I'm not, not over exaggerating that. Barely anyone has him in their lineup. And I do.
You said how much Buendia is going for?
He is 6 mil.
I think that's a little hefty for Buendia.
I think he's in for a bounce back here. And I expect a lot from Aston Villa, which I've expected a lot from them in the past, and they didn't give me what I thought they would.
Is that who you went for in your less owned midfield position?
Yes. So I
thought you said Coutinho.
No, I was going to do Coutinho,
Okay.
but I switched at the last minute because Coutinho is 7 mil and he's owned by 18% of people. So my midfield is Salah, Coutinho, Lingard, and Buendia. And then I have Gray on my bench. All right. So up top, I get to start up top. And my more well-known option, sorry, I'm on the Liverpool trend. I'm a fan. I have my right side is my 3-headed Liverpool dragon, and that is Darwin Nunez. He's only owned by 20%. We just talked about a guy. Haaland is like the most owned attacker in the Prem, and he has 1 goal, and he looked terrible in his first game. Haaland is not going to be terrible. You guys are fine if you have him in your lineup. I'm not saying he's going to be terrible.
I think the most enticing thing for Nunez is the 2.5 mil mark cheaper than Haaland.
Yeah, he's 9 mil. He's only owned by 20%, and he looks ready to play. If you watched that game against Manchester City, when he scored that goal, shirt was already off. He was firing. He wants to prove something this season. He knows coming in that all the talk was around Haaland, and he's looking like he wants to prove that he's the better of the two. And I think Darwin Nunez is going to get you, I would say, at least 18 goals this season.
Personally, if I was to go for a premium striker, and I'd almost considered Nunez a premium striker, considering he's 9 mil, pretty hefty. At this point, I would go with Harry Kane.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's established. You know what he's going to do. He's had a solid preseason. But if you're looking to go a little cheaper, I think Nunez is a good option to look at for premium.
And he's expensive, but I almost count him a premium. He's just below premium, 7 mil, and he's only owned by 6.9%. And I think this has to do with Ronaldo staying at Manchester United. Anthony Martial. I think he's in for a better season. He only scored 14 points last year, but let's remember he was injured for most of the year. And frankly, he just wasn't played when he was back. This is a new manager, Ten Hag. I have him starting as of now. I almost want to put him on the bench until I see what Martial we're going to get. He is my third option. But I think only owned by just under 7% of people. And he's not stupid expensive. He's 7 mil, which is a solid price for a player of his profile. I think get Martial in your lineup as your third striker, sit him on the bench. And if that's your third best striker, you're in pretty good shape.
I can't see myself spending 7 mil on my bench. I think that I would just be like throwing so much money out the window at that point. But my absolute must-have at striker is not only because he's had a ridiculous preseason, but because he's coming in at 72% owned, the most owned player. If he comes in and balls and you don't have him, you are in big trouble.
And he's already bald. I know. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. He's already bald.
That's what I'm saying. If he comes in and plays like he has in the preseason and you don't have him in your lineup, I think that is going to be devastating. At 72% owned, I feel almost everyone needs to have him at 8 mil. I don't think that's an expensive price, and I think he's only going to go up. My under the radar player, only because he's coming in at 4.4% owned, he is 8 mil, but with my double premium in my midfield, I had to go for a second striker, a little heftier. I'm going for Kai Havertz, especially if Timo Werner leaves. This is the sole 9 in a Chelsea team that's gonna compete for a top 5 spot or maybe top 4 spot. There's gonna be goals. I think he's in for a breakout season. There's no Lukaku in the picture, possibly no Timo Werner in the picture. I think that he's the only one that could play the 9 on the team.
And there you have it. The must-own players that we think you need to get in your lineup. We just gave you plenty of options. You could build a lineup with the players we just gave you.
Yeah, for
Probably
sure.
not all of them. You probably wouldn't be able to afford all of them. But that's another news. We talked about maybe eventually doing an MLS show. Nothing is solid on that yet, but we've also talked about maybe doing a fantasy show. We're going to see our schedule, see how it works out. But I think Christian and I would both love to do a 20-minute, 30-minute YouTube maybe only video. Plus, Reality Randy might be working on a Patreon, so stay tuned to that. We'll see how all of these football videos, football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, fits into that. But yeah, Christian, I think we covered a lot today and cannot wait to watch Premier League this Sunday. Like I said,
I'm so excited for Friday.
I need to pull it up. I have Sunday off now. I need to work, but I think I might leave it off so I can watch either Leicester versus Brentford or United versus Brighton. I would probably choose the United game. And then at 11:30, West Ham and Manchester City. So plus I get to wake up
I'll
early.
be watching them all. So
yeah, I'm jealous. I'm gonna try to watch the one on Friday too. I gotta move my Survivor podcast around, but I'm gonna try to watch Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, which you guys can catch the season opener of the Premier League on USA Network for those of you in the States. Christian, anything else to say before we wrap up here?
I think we pretty much covered everything that we needed to. Looking forward to the season, and it felt like a long wait, but we're almost there.
We are almost there. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, see you later.